So you will
Hmm.
basically assist the customer in getting the best deal, or what they not necessarily the best deal, but necessarily what they can afford at this point in time, because they don't want to have any unrealistic expectations. You know, they want a Mercedes, but they can only afford a Corolla.
There you go. That is it. That is it. That is it. That is it.
Okay, makes
That is
total
it.
sense. I understand the
Hmm.
numbers, because a lot
Hmm.
of people, they go into a dealership and they look at the car that they like and they sit down with the sales rep, and the sales rep will do basically the same thing, right?
Hmm.
At least, as you mentioned earlier, they will have someone inside the sales office who works in finance, and that
Hmm.
person now will actually go through their documentation to determine whether or not they can actually qualify for the car that they're interested in. But at the same time, now, what advantage do you have over someone going into a dealership? Because what will allow them to drive them to you instead of going to a dealership, so they can sit down and say, okay, I'm going to reach out to Omar because he's the guy that can make it happen for me, right?
So, so with my experience over years, and a lot of my customers are coming through pretty much referrals, right?
Right.
Um, they know that I'm pretty much the salesperson, the finance guy. I'm pretty much the one and only that will, you know, I'm the end all when it's all said and done, because I'm the one that's going to know what cars are going to work, what
Yes.
banks it's going to work with, right?
Right.
And I'm the same one that's also submit those paperwork to make sure that the underwriting funds that deal. So in other
Right.
words, they're saving themselves the time and aggravation in going into a dealership to sit
Hmm.
with a salesperson that's not the finance guy, that's
Right.
only going to take the application now to move to a finance department. And then that finance department now has to decide, hmm, do I really want to sell this car for this profit or this amount? He has to then move
Yeah,
that car
because
to
he's
the
looking
the
for he's looking for his
yeah.
commission at the end of the day, right?
There you go. There you go. And then you have the salesperson that he needs to make money too. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
then it has to move from the finance guy to now the general manager, because now the general manager is going to say, oh, wait, I have Tom that has a customer on the same car.
Right.
Let me see if I could get more money out of Tom
So,
customer instead of your customer.
I
You know
I
what I
know
mean?
I know that pretty well because it has happened to me, right?
Yes,
I know
yes,
exactly what
yes.
you're saying.
So a lot of people that have been in dealerships and have had the experience understand what it is.
Yes.
So a lot of times when a customer comes to me, they know that what I'm laying out for them is just straightforward. The markup is not that much. I'm
Yeah.
not marking up the car to make a killing. One. Two, I want you to always come back to me as a customer. I want a return customer, because at the end of the day, I want to earn your business, but I want you to also refer people to me,
Yes. Yes. As you know,
right?
word of mouth is the strongest media, right?
Very
Strongest
much
form of
so.
advertisement.
Very much so. So, that's how I approach the business. I've been doing this for quite some time now. And I was fortunate enough to make the connection with some of these um, owners of the dealerships, that I'm
Yes.
able to actually find I would call it a home, which was my office in the dealership.
In
You know what I
okay.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's my
Okay.
office inside the dealership. I'm able to actually do this. So I have cars around me.
Right.
Customers come in. It's cars on the showroom. Um, and the one good thing about that is, when it comes to me, is that I'm also able to buy the cars, like actually purchase a car through the manufacturer sale or through the auction. Some people will
Okay.
put it as.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand that the manufacturer sale, it's a big auction. This is where all the manufacturers sell their cars. Whether the cars come off lease, whether the banks repossess the car, they come right back through the auction. Right.
Okay.
This is how dealers access their cars and get their cars on that lot.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
I'm able to actually buy
this
the
is
car.
mostly for the they call them preconditioned cars.
Yeah, pre-owned
Pre-owned, yeah.
cars. And would say like the off lease,
Okay.
cars that are coming off lease. So yeah, that's where I come in also. So I'm able to actually narrow down cars that are gonna, like, if I move from the first step, which is our customer comes in and
Yes.
I qualify them, and I realize that, wait, I don't have a car in my showroom that meets, what this customer really is looking for. But I
Yes.
can meet what they're looking for because I
Yes.
have an
Yes.
approval and I know what the cars are doing. That's the
Yeah.
good thing about me at the end of the day, because I'm able to know what cars are going to work, what cars won't work.
Yeah.
So right there on the spot, I'm able to actually, buy a car in the auction for example, get that
Uh-huh.
car in the auction for that customer to make sure I meet where they need to be.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
mentioned that you're actually working inside the dealerships. But
Yes.
what I want to ask you is how has your operations changed over the period of time that you have been involved in it?
So, I don't know if the light is good or you could see me there. The light is getting
I
it's
can
getting
see
dark
you.
out here.
Not a problem.
You can see me. Okay, good. All right. So over the, I want to say, all right, let's just say last year,
Yeah.
and I'll just go back to say last year. Last year was a challenging year. I want to say it's challenging because with the shutdown initially,
Yeah.
and the shutdown came run about the time where we have um sales spike. It's usually the time period of the year where we get a lot more customers coming in the door to buy cars. So the shutdown happened right when customers were about to walk in the door, pretty
That was
much, right?
around March, April,
End
thereabout.
of March, April. There you go.
April, yeah.
Cause
Yeah,
that's
well, yeah.
that's
When you
around about
have
it.
the older year models going out, you have normally dealers will have sales on those. They call them old stock.
Yeah. So you get the you have the customers that are coming in. It's tax time. They are getting tax returns. You
Yes,
know,
yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's also a time period where our lease returns are coming back because a lot of people are getting their new cars run about that time. The
Okay,
new model, especially, let's for example, last year, 2020, the 2020 models were either coming out November, December 19
hmm
or January, February, March. So a lot of customers tend to come around that time to actually pick up the new models.
new models.
And then
Okay,
you have the customers that are coming out of the old models, the 3 year lease that they're coming out of, or whatever time lease it was, right?
okay,
So it was a challenging time because what happened is the shutdown came. We couldn't do business. Um, we couldn't do business, and there was restrictions as far as salespeople going into the office to do work, right?
okay. Yes,
So
yes, yes. It's
I
it's still
was
happening. It's still happening now.
it's
Well, at least
yeah,
here in Toronto, it's ridiculous.
yeah, it has
Appointments and yeah.
yeah, still have to make appointments. It has eased up a little bit in New York City, right? But
Okay,
initially, when it started, I was one of the only fortunate ones that was able to actually still go in the office and do,
okay. And
yeah,
do
because
work, right?
and do work, yeah. And I could, I, I was doing work at home also, but because I knew that car has to leave, and I'm a hands-on person when it comes to the cars at times. So I like to,
Right.
especially the pre-owned cars, I like to eyeball a car, make sure that tires are good, make sure,
hmm
even though we do an inspection before the car leaves, whether we have to change tires,
Yeah.
change oil,
Change the
change
brakes.
parts
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I'm one of those people that like I said, I'm a car person. I know cars. So I literally get in the car and I'll drive the car and test drive it, make sure everything is good before they take delivery of the car. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Right.
again, I
Right.
want my customer to be happy. So, it was a challenging time because again, being in the office, limited schedule. Um, Prep guy came in on a short schedule also. There was, literally, again, I'm the finance, I'm the salesperson, I'm pretty much like the general manager, all at the same time. Um, so, I had to take everything in hand at that moment, right? Less people to help you, somewhat, somewhat in a sense, a little bit more work.
Right.
Um, but it was challenging. Now it got to the point, and I'm going to say this: it got to the point where when, say, a month two in after the shutdown, right? The shutdown, and they started easing, and we were able to start going into the dealerships by appointment, and customers could come in by appointment. The demand became so high. It's
Yeah.
it's surprising because a lot more people wanted cars. So now our normal volume, for example, let's say our volume was normally, 50 cars a month, just an
Yeah.
example.
Hmm.
Now the volume is like 150 cars a month.
Yeah, but that isn't that a good thing?
It's a good thing. The problem, the problem with that was, here was what the problem was. Here's what the
Yeah.
problem was.